So on 4 days' notice, the team at Motorcyclist asked me if I could fly out to Barcelona to test the new Stark Varg. And honestly, after 5 back-to-back weeks of travel, it would have taken a rare opportunity for me to want to take the trip, and this was exactly that. From the first post that I saw this come online, it was a bike that I immediately was interested in because I had recently done my first electric project. In the attitude of ever evolving and improving, I immediately saw what it had to offer, and it was something I wanted to get my hands on. So when they asked me to come out to Barcelona to give this thing a test, first and foremost, I want to be honest with everybody, I'm not a professional motocross racer, but I race sometimes, and I'm, somewhere in the mid-pack of someone who confidently enjoys riding motocross, but it's not my home field of play. From the moment I got here, from every lap in track condition, from the wet to swapping back and forth from the 450 to the end, I literally fell in love with this motorcycle. And I've done enough tests over the years comparing different motorcycles. I'm not to the level of rider where I'm going to dissect every 450 and give it a comparison to that, but certain bikes make an impact that you remember indefinitely, and it's been a while since that's happened. Upon arrival, I tried not to have any prerequisite, but given that it's electric, there's always a give and take, or at least to what I currently knew, and it just gave today. It was something that, I have no skin in the game to endorse the brand. I had, in full honesty, would spend my hard-earned money specifically to get one of these and was thoroughly impressed. It doesn't have longevity issues. Power, throughout the day, I kept backing the power down, given the fact that, you kind of hit points of fatigue throughout the day, and it just tracks so incredibly well. There's just this lightning snap that electric has, that this has found a way to transfer the data that you input into the motorcycle to how it tracks up, and it's thoroughly enjoyable. From the fastest to the slowest guy here today, it's pretty common consensus that they'd happily own one, and it's not really a concession between a normal 450. I think it's taken a while, but at this point, you could happily have this bike, and I don't think you would miss, having your normal one. When people would ask me about my previous electric project, it was, would you ever get rid of your gas stuff, or would you ever get rid of your normal bikes? And I would always say, no, it's an addition to. It's an addition to the fleet. And I might eat those words a little bit, because this thing today is not really an addition to. It's apples to apples, performs just as good in every category. Suspension components, braking components, all of that with the cockpit was top notch. That visibly is deliverable. The R&D was done well. There was obviously a team of riders and engineers that worked together specifically. The only thing that I thought may or may not deliver was the battery life and longevity that had, but this thing had far more in the gas tank than I did. And there was riders of higher skill level here that actually gave it 10/10 for the whole session, and it just delivered. On the components that I've become familiar with over the years, with the Brembo braking components, KYB suspension, those are kind of the staples in what you want to see and what delivers continuously. And then, literally every finite detail, from rim and wheel selection to the unified Torx hardware that they use throughout the entire motorcycle, the minimalist mounting points that they have for servicing, it's well thought out. It's not like that, okay, how many pieces of hardware am I going to need to remove the seat and then the side shroud and then go from there? It's just such a sectional, simple motorcycle. And I got to watch them just do little service checks throughout the day on the motorcycle, and there's just certain things that are so well thought of. If you needed to do a shock change, the fact that you can just pull the body off and not have to worry about half lifting the subframe and removing all these different components. It was just thought with a current mindset and not an adapted iteration of a motorcycle over and over again. So there's things that I didn't even think of as a qualm that it just had delivered, from the phone being the interface, which is mobile and you can change that from either place, and just the simplicity that comes in and out. No detail wasn't thought of, but they delivered it in the most minimalist fashion. So I myself and all of the builds that I do in my program aspirationally just love every bit of attention to detail. And obviously this team does completely, because it's a well fine-tuned machine. And I'm not here to critique this thing on what it didn't deliver. I'm here to give my general impression as a normal guy that wants to ride dirt bikes and have a good time and race maybe a couple times a year. Took it off track some places here, did some trail riding, got to go up and down through the trees, do some casual, calm motocross riding, gave it a couple hard laps, and I would happily ride this to replace the 450 or some of my other bikes, just because of it opens a lot of doors. For someone like me, there's certain properties you can take these on and can't, and there's gray areas here and there, and it's definitely not going to upset the same group of people. And more it's becoming an issue with noise and emissions, especially depending on where you live. And the electric units before were cool, but they're always a little bit novelty, and this just delivers. So I can't wait to see what this actually does heads up in a professional racing setting. Not that that's the most important component for me. I've already given it my check of approval, like this would happily do it, but given what this can actually do as far as battery life and the power it puts down, they're gonna race this in the open motocross class, and it's gonna be interesting because it's gonna turn some heads, and it's no longer gonna be a novelty category. This is actually a serious replacement for someone who wants to get one. When they gave me the 20-minute call to stop riding, I was very bummed today. I could have happily, just like a dog chasing a ball till he passes out, rode this all afternoon. So coming home happy ear to ear. I can't wait till this thing gets off the production line. Stark Varg, man, I was thoroughly impressed and thankful that the team at Motorcyclist sent me out here for this one. It's been an awesome trip to Barcelona, and it's gonna be a bummer to leave because I could definitely cut some more laps on this thing.